When we think of ecchi shows where the main character is a demon, two immediately spring to mind. One is Highschool DxD, and the other is Shinmai Maou no Testament, or Testament of Sister Devil. However, recently a third series involving demons and ecchi has come out, called How Not to Summon the Demon Lord, or Isekai Maou for short. When compared to its two competitors, the series seemingly does well to perch exactly around the midpoint of the two shows, in regards to many aspects, from its character design to its ecchi. But how true is this? So to start off with, to show how this show is the middleman of the trio, let us first talk about the main character Diablo's design in comparison to his peers. So to start off, the strongest main character out of the three series is Shinmai Mao's Basura, who is immediately blessed with an overpowered devastating ability and had been trained non-stop by his father, who is a god of destruction, and never actually loses at any point at the start of the anime. Whereas at the other end of the spectrum in Highschool DxD, Issei is a regular human who gets resurrected by a devil and basically gets jobbed by all the major people he fights against to begin with him only winning fights due to the help of his friends. Now, Issei does get a lot stronger, and by that I mean in volume 20 of the light novels, he defeats the son of Lucifer. Issei, just like many protagonists, start off from a place of weakness, whereas Basura was immediately strong and carried on being very strong throughout the series. Now in regards to How Not to Summon the Demon Lord, the main character Diablo feels like the middle split of Issei and Basura, as he is very strong but is mainly carried by his items and experience in combat, and even then he still does take a fair deal of damage from other people and is not invincible, as there are several occasions where he should have died in the light novels if not for an overpowered item he had acquired prior to being isekai'd, and his opponents do outwit him on several occasions. So he is not incredibly weak at the start like Issei, given his initial overpowered items, but at the same time he's not ridiculously well trained like Basura is, in that you get the feeling that he could lose. This halfway home feeling is further shown in how the main character talks and interacts with the various plot elements in the show, as well as their personality. With Basura's personality being as limited as it gets, with him sharing as much personality as a slab of beef, he views sexual interactions with much gusto as eating a mediocre sandwich, whereas Issei is seemingly the opposite, as he is excited about ecchi events, and has a dramatically sad first arc in comparison to Basura to show off his emotional range. In comparison to both of them, Diablo is interested in ecchi stuff similar to Issei, yet is incredibly awkward about committing to it, and tries to be as emotionless as Basura to convince Rem and Shira that he is in fact a demon lord, even if in reality he can't always keep his true emotions in check, representing a middle path yet again. Personally, I find that Diablo is actually a very realistic depiction of what an isekai protagonist would be like, as he is shy around women due to his neat lifestyle, and didn't often interact with them, meaning that he is also awkward about doing the ecchi stuff with them, rather than being incredibly pervy like Rudius in Mituku Tensei. He is also not bringing with self-confidence like Kazuma, as he has spent a lot of time inside avoiding social interactions and dealing with other people IRL. This ultimately means he has a personality similar to Ainz from Overlord, and similar to Ainz, has to pretend to be an all-powerful evil deity, as that is what his harem expects from him. Although, unlike Ainz, Diablo does not have a racial bonus to keep his emotions in check, meaning his facade feels more risky and believable due to his often awkward reactions and inner monologues. This means that rather than getting the perfect human specimen in an isekai, you get the reality of what an average antisocial gamer would be like in a fantasy world. Now getting back on track, let us finally talk about the etchiness and how the trio of demon shows implement it. To start off with, in Highschool DxD, despite it initially coming off as very explicit in its etchiness, it actually has the least raunchy moments out of the three series. So much so that I would say this scene in Isekai Maou is hands down more ecchi than anything you will get out of DxD, due to the light novel restraints placed upon its author. Whereas for Shinmai Maou, let's just say that it goes into Redo of Healer territory and stays there. So much so that prior to the release of Redo of a Healer, I'd have thought it impossible for the series to get a third season of anime, given how much it starts upping the ante in regards to its ecchi content. And I felt the only future content it would get would be R-rated OVAs. Now Isekai Maou treads the line between the two shows again, as the show does go further than touching oppai, making it ecchier than DxD, but at the same time does not have an explicit direct eroge scenes yet, making it far more vanilla than what Shinmai Maou turns into. Although as a counterpoint, Isekai Maou does shy away from lots of direct explicit nudity, meaning that even though the ecchi does go further than in DxD, it does not always feel like it does. Nonetheless, there is one area that How Not to Summon the Demon Lord does not split the difference between the two other series, and that is in its choice of waifus, as unlike the Onisara harem of DxD and the same school-age harem of Shinmai Maou, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord has a harem of small people. That being said, apart from the Oni-sama harem of DxD, there is very little difference in the types of personalities that members of each of the harems have. So apart from aesthetics, there is actually little difference between them when you simplify their character motivations down to its base reason. To conclude, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord comes off as a series as a direct split between Shinmai Maou and Highschool DxD in regards to its main characters and its ecchi, with a realistic depiction of what an antisocial nerd would be like if they were isekai'd into their favourite game world. And given the increasingly likely scenario that both Highschool DxD and Shinmai Maou won't be getting new seasons anytime soon, we should just be glad that a new series has come along to help fill the void left by these two shows. Even if it is an isekai.